Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Nurse Mark and the Green Nurse Show, Daily Dose of AFA. I'm Mark Worcester. I'm your host today, along with my co-host, Sherry Tutkus. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. My name is...
Good morning. Thank you. Welcome, Sherry. Sherry, I'd like to tell you that I've now decided that I am not supportive of cannabis. I believe it's an evil drug and that it should be eradicated from the world. And I've partnered with Harry Anslinger's Ghost, and together we're going to campaign for a new rally. We're going to create a new Reefer Madness film starring yours truly. And so I'm just here to tell you that cannabis is bad.
Okay, well, you know what? I have an announcement to make as well.
Yeah.
I just changed my name to Debbie Downer.
Excellent.
And you know, Debbie Downer doesn't think that anything's AFA anymore.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for, you know what, Debbie Downer, you're probably in the majority with everybody else. So welcome along. Hey, listen, it's April Fool's Day. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Please. My gosh, this is like one of my favorite days. I love to laugh. I love to joke. And so I'm already scheming with some elaborate plans. Like I'm going to take every opportunity to just mess with people.
So I know, right? That was great, Mark. You know, you had your goggles on and I'm going to create a new documentary.
Very serious. Yes.
I'm very serious. And then of course I'm trying to be serious and I'm like, what can Debbie Downer. So, hey, everyone, rise and shine. It is Nurse Mark and Nurse Sherry time. What is that?
It's my little hand. That's right.
What is about what?
I don't know. I picked this up along the way somewhere in some some wild, crazy story from several years ago. And I woke up, I had this little tiny hand. So.
Oh my God. Can I tell you it's a funny hand because you could pull it out and go, you need a slap right about now.
Right. So April Fools. April, of course, is my favorite month because I was born in April. So yay.
When's your birthday, Mark?
April 25th.
April 25th.
Yeah. My sister's birthday is this month. My dad's birthday, my niece, my
mom.
First
my mom's
girlfriend. I mean, I remember everybody's birthday, you know.
Your first girlfriend.
My first girlfriend. She's such a sweetheart. I was such an asshole at a young age. Oh, hey, I didn't know. You know? I was really possessive because, of course, nobody else was going to love me, and she was the first one. So I was like, geez, I better hold on to her because there's no guarantees anybody else is going to love me.
Oh, Mark.
Uh-oh.
And after how
wait
many...
a minute, Jack. There's no spider in my hair because I have no hair. Oh, okay. Now, Jack, is that a moose or a mouse behind Sherry? Because that's a big difference, dude.
Oh, you guys are great.
Oh my God! All right, so Sherry,
so much fun.
Listen,
yes,
AFA Day.
Yes.
Yeah, we always start. Listen, we got to say it. You're absolutely amazing, exactly as you are. No need to change. Especially don't need to change to please anyone else because, folks, it's your life. You got to live it. When it comes to an end and you're wherever you are and you're getting ready to exit, ain't nobody else going to be there with you. It's you.
You come in naked and you leave naked.
Well, hopefully. I mean, I like to be naked, so I'm hoping, that would be good. So, yeah, it's your life.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we
do? What
we're here
to Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're here to, oh, goodness, here we go. The spirits are here. Mark, can you hear me?
Oh, my gosh, that's beautiful. Sherry, you have just frozen on the screen in the most perfect shot. There you are. You're back again.
And there's just the green dot in front of me. I can see no one, no thing.
Yeah,
that's okay, though. It's all good.
You live in a spooky house, I got to tell you. Yeah. So AFA coming into the Daily Love, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Celebrate it. It's a great day.
It's a greght day. So, angel message. Can I give a little angel message of the day? So
start with the angel message. I'm gonna sip my coffee and listen intently.
So I have this little calendar, and I like it. It's just a little, it's like besides my AFA daily dose with Nurse Mark, I have this little calendar that just gives me little reminders, about the divine and spirituality. So today's reading is, you only need to be clear about what it is that you want. Pray for guidance and then motivate yourself to take the necessary steps that are guided by spirit. There you go. Angel message, right? Just make a decision, conscious decision, and then take those little steps. So a little angel message.
Right. That was probably the most powerful thing that I did with my coach, he's the most extraordinary coach, Elix Sintron. If you get a chance and you're looking for a life coach, a performance coach, Coach Elix is amazing. And so, the first thing that Coach had me do was work on creating a vision, because without having that clarity and really absolutely stating that this is what my vision for my life is. And listen, I read that vision every day, and say it out loud. All of it. I'm telling you right now that I wrote one, I think maybe 5 years ago when we first started working together. Everything in that vision, that original one that I wrote, everything manifested, every single thing. And this was a bold vision. So
it is. I agree, Mark. It's a bold vision. And the part that's great is that you believe it. You know it. It's your truth. You walk it. You embody it, right? And so we manifest it because our passion fuels our purpose. Then
we talked about, so last night's podcast, before we get into the daily love.
Sure.
Our guest last night was just an amazing person. I loved Chris Killam to death. He was such a fun guest. The Lotus and the Bud is his new book. And he talked about it last night. There are 100 billion little neurons in your brain, right? That's what they calculate. I was like, well, who counted them all? He's like, yeah, I know, right? It's not a firm number, but we think there's 100 billion neurons. That's a lot of computing power, right? So anything is possible with the human brain, the capacity for that thought. And if you focus that, anything is possible.
So here it is, right? Think about it. Even break it down even simpler, right? How are we filling those billions of neurons? We have the capability of filling them up with whatever we want, right? And then that's how we're going to show up in the world through, so it's just, and it was just so wonderful. Cannabis, consciousness, yoga, developing, shifting perception. We were talking about miracles and how we have the capability of doing this. If Mark can do it, well, Mark is amazing. I'm not going to lie. You're freaking AFA. But it's just like, I look back and I never thought that cannabis was truly the catalyst, that adaptogen that helped to reframe how I look at the world, how I take care of myself, how I want to show up. It gave me my mission. It gave me my vision. It gave me my passion when I thought that I had lost it. Because why? Because it shifted everything into how I showing up in the world. The plant medicine truly allowed me to step into something that I never knew could be so beautiful.
Life, baby, life.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the daily love real quick.
Yes.
So today, because it's April 1st, I pulled from Conversations with God, and it talks about laughter and joking, right? And it talks about the irreverence and reverence of life. And so Neil was talking to God and he's saying, I once began writing a book called God is a Salami Sandwich. And God replied, well, that would have been a great book. I mean, I gave you that inspiration. Why didn't you write it? And Neil replied, well, it felt like blasphemy at the very least, horribly irreverent. And God's reply was really simple. It's like, you mean wonderfully irreverent. Because what gave you the idea that God is only reverent? God is the up and the down, the hot and the cold, the left and the right, the reverent and the irreverent, right? So do you imagine that God does not enjoy a good joke? Is it your knowing that God is without humor? And God says, I tell you, God invented humor. So, and it goes on. So here's the thing.
That's why he created us. He must be having a big laugh, right?
So have you ever been in this conversation with friends about is there anything too serious to joke about? I mean, I've been at parties or been in situations where we started to talk about, are there things that are just too serious to joke about? Because, you know, humor's all over the spectrum, and there have been comics that have been accused of being too far out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Talking about things you just can't talk about.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day,
it's language.
Most comics talk about things that are just absurd, right? The absurdity of life. They point them out and we all laugh about them, right? Because it is absurd. And I shared that, you know, my personal opinion is this, that it's all irreverent. It all is meaningless. And at the end of the day, we're just spirit who come here and have this physical experience, and then we die and we move on. And hey, if we want to come back, we do. But it's all just meaningless. And, you know, we cling to life and we cling to these ideas that there's sanctity and we have to, you know, that there's right and there's wrong, and there's judgment. And at the end of the day, the biggest joke of all is that none of it matters. And we're just spirit, and we're eternal, and we'll always be fine. And the horrible things that happen to us in this physical world, these horrible things that we all feel, you know, are bad and such, are part of this physical reality. In the end of the day, spirit is untouched by it, because spirit is just love.
Exactly, right? So that's it. And gets back to the whole point of your book. Joke away. Well, who doesn't? Here's the thing. Let's tie in laughter to the endocannabinoid system. We're going to bring it to cannabis. Why do you think I make all those crazy TikTok videos? A, I entertain myself. B, I'm moving, I'm singing, I'm dancing.
Yep.
C, I'm laughing my butt off because I'm so ridiculous.
Right.
D, I'm educating. And I'm having fun. And so I'm able to step out the box or remove the box that says I need to be and show up in the world in a certain way. It feels good.
Right.
You know, so they're
right. Like I've got a warped sense of humor, Sherry. You know, I'm an avid fisherman. I have been over the course of my life. You know, at times I'm really more like into it, and other times I'm doing other things. But by and large, fishing's always been my thing, right? And so I have a very solid group of friends that I've fished with for many, many years. So, you know what I did for a period of time, you know, probably 20 years ago. So I would travel the world and I would be fly fishing somewhere. And I would be with a fishing guide and one of my fishing buddies. I would completely take all my clothes off, and I would have either the guide or my friend. Now, kind of shocking for the guide. I'm sure they didn't have anybody else who did this. I would have them take a picture of me fly fishing naked somewhere in the world. And I compiled them. And I would send a Christmas card to my friend's house of me naked fly fishing somewhere, like greetings from Mark, you know? And I did this for a period of time. And, you know, so that's my kind of humor. Okay. That's my kind of joking around. And, gosh darn it, I haven't done one in a while. So I think I need to go fishing today.
Can I tell you, I think we should all go fishing. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yes.
All of us with our moves.
So have a good joke today, everybody. Really, have a good joke. So Sherry, Throwback Thursday. We got
Thursday
history to talk about. Oh, I love history.
I know.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah. So, you know, cannabis history, you know, this is what we want to do, is we want to go back, and we want to, because, you know, it's such a reefer madness is still here, even though we are legalizing across, you know, the country. You know, we want people to understand that this has been around for a long time, and how things have shifted and morphed as to where we're led today, you know. So Mark, you're the history buff, so I'm going to let you lead this parade.
God, I love history. I really do, you know, and we talked about it last night with Chris a lot, you know, how, you know, after the last ice age ended 12,000 years ago, cannabis just kind of reemerged and took over and was spread throughout the world by human beings, because they used
it's a master plant.
Like
they used it.
They used it, and they carried it with them. It was part of what they used on a daily basis. So it's been, you know,
carry the seeds.
Huge, long history of cannabis in the world. So we come to history in the United States, right?
Yeah.
And so when we talk about hemp, which is cannabis, you know, hemp in the beginning of this country in 1619, you know, in the early 1600s, when Jamestown first was founded, and that was an entrepreneurial community. It was not about getting away from religious persecution, which is what we think it was the founding of the United States. It was all entrepreneurial. Like people came here to try to make a living, and they were required by the crown to grow hemp. Because it was really simple. Hemp was used for everything in the world, like
food, fiber,
sails on the ships. It was used for paper. The first Bible was printed on it, Gutenberg, right? So hemp has a long history. Cannabis has a long history as this commodity. So you were required. So there's a long history in the United States of cannabis being grown. So we fast forward to George Washington. Oh, Georgie, he grew hemp on his farm because it was his agricultural ledgers. He had a particular interest in the medicinal use of cannabis. And several of his diary entries indicate that he was indeed growing cannabis with a high THC content or marijuana. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Kind of makes sense because, he had all his teeth removed. He had, those wooden dentures. So
he did.
Probably uncomfortable. He probably needed a little something to kind of ease the pain. Listen, there was no stigma then, right? It was just, it was a plant and you used it.
It was survival of the fittest. And let me tell you, if cannabis is going to help you to survive, people are going to take it for sure. I didn't know that George Washington had wooden teeth.
Yeah.
Were you kidding? Were you?
No, not kidding. Nope. And I know, right? Little known facts. So TJ Thomas Jefferson. Yeah. Cool dude. Listen, he grew hemp at Monticello. Everybody was growing hemp. That's just what you did. Yeah. So he had farming diaries from 1774, 1824, but there's no evidence to suggest that Jefferson was a habitual smoker of anything like hemp, tobacco, whatever.
Right.
So there was a reference in Jefferson's farm book about separating male and female hemp plants as evidence that he was cultivating it for purposes of smoking. But really, George Washington did record that in his diary. So, Jefferson was growing it.
Yeah. We're growing it. And it exists. It's been here. And then over time, what happened? So these were in the 1800s. And then in the 1840s, cannabis starts to become mainstream medicine in the West. Right. So,
I mean, it's not people in the past weren't less able intellectually to process things. It's the same human brain. These people just had what was available to them to work with. And so there were studies being done, scientific studies, and, they studied marijuana.
They did. Yep. So by 1850, right? 1850, cannabis made its way into the United States Pharmacopoeia. And this is an official public standard setting authority for all prescription and over-the-counter medicines.
Right. So it's the listing of all drugs that are available for physicians to use.
Yeah.
And so it was in there in a big way.
In a big way. Think about this.
Yeah.
United States Pharmacopoeia listed cannabis as treatment for these conditions: neuralgia, tetanus, typhus, cholera, rabies, dysentery, alcoholism, opioid addiction, anthrax, leprosy, incontinence, gout, convulsive disorders, tonsillitis, insanity, extensive menstrual bleeding, uterine bleeding. So here it is. So they had, that's a lot of conditions.
No, so they already knew. They already knew that it was effective for all of these differing things that we suffer with. See, we're starting to see how amazing this plant is in dealing with so many different things because, as we know now, we have the endocannabinoid system, and it makes sense as to why it's effective in all of these areas. So real quick, just adding in a little anecdotal piece of evidence. When the Bunker Hill Monument, we're from Boston, Sherry, we're Boston born and bred. So, we got to talk about a little bit of Massachusetts history. When the Bunker Hill Monument, which is the monument to the Battle of Bunker Hill, right, in the Revolutionary War in the start, that monument was erected in 1843. And I was reading this book a while ago about, how the monument was, how they got it passed through the government at that time and how it was built and who funded it. but there was a passage in there that said, and all around the area where the Bunker Hill Monument in Charlestown was erected were fields of hemp.
Whoa.
So it was all hemp being grown all around the Bunker Hill Monument, which I thought was pretty darn cool.
That is pretty cool. I didn't even know that. So history, isn't this awesome, Mark?
Yeah.
You know a lot about this.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of useless information. I'm filled with it, actually. Yeah.
No, it's great.
Parties, I can have a conversation about a lot of stuff that just you'd never know, and really you don't need to, right?
It's fun. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah. So, Sherry, this is really cool. In 1889, the article in the Lancet, which is still published, by the way, right? Major medical journal, right?
Major.
It outlines the use of cannabis for opium withdrawal, because remember, there was an opium issue.
Huge.
Opium's always been a problem. Why? Because it's so damn good.
It's true. Yeah, it alters states of consciousness.
Receptors, and it's highly addictive because it does give you this awesome feeling, right?
Right.
And it relieves your pain and kind of takes you out of life for a moment. So there's been an opium problem forever and ever and ever.
Long time.
Yeah. So at this point, there was an opium issue. And so the Lancet, they outlined using cannabis for that, which we now know today
works great.
Is being studied again for this use, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So this was the 1889. The article in the Lancet outlines that for cannabis opium withdrawal. That's just fascinating. And then we continue on, right? It just keeps getting better and better.
Last sentence that you wrote in here. By the way, Sherry puts these awesome notes together for the show. She is absolutely amazing at this. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. This last thing in the Lancet in the article, it says the mixture reduced the opium craving and acted as an antiemetic. So they're saying, possibly for the first time, hey, this works for nausea and vomiting, which of course was revisited in the 1970s and the 80s. In the 80s, primarily with AIDS and wasting syndrome.
Exactly.
It's the problem. People were nauseous. They were throwing up. Yeah.
And also too, people coming off of opium, people coming off of narcotics and opioids. What is the thing that happens? They're throwing up, right? They don't feel good. A lot of nausea and vomiting. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. Such a long history, Sherry, such a long history. And so Chris last night shares bong, right?
Bang, yes, bang, the bong, the bang for yoga.
In India, there is a drink. Cannabis is used, across the country. There is one holy day, HOLI, where the whole country shuts down, and everybody, and Chris mentioned this, everybody, police, judges, taxi cab drivers, children, everybody in the country partakes in this
holy day.
Yeah.
So it's a bang, BHANG.
So basically everybody,
cannabis.
It's a national holiday where everybody gets a little bit
toasted.
Yeah.
That's it. One day they all enjoy themselves and then they go back to work the next day.
Right. Yeah.
Feeling good and not hungover because they were able to reach new levels of well-being, mind, body, and spirit. So and that's what we talked a lot about too with Chris, was about how these experiences, these connections, this way of altering our states of consciousness for enlightenment, for us to be able to look, experience, see, heal, feel different ways of being, bringing in different aspects of, of the divine. That's how I look at it.
I know. So let's talk about this report here, this report that you're mentioning from 1972, the U.S. National Commission on Marijuana and Drug Abuse. It was entitled "Marijuana: A Signal of Misunderstanding."
Yes.
And so this is in the 70s, right? And this is Richard Nixon era, the king of the war on drugs.
Yep.
The racist son of a bitch. And he just was. I mean, hated black people, and he hated hippies, and that's why he waged this war on drugs. Yay! Good job, Tricky.
Good job.
So the report mentions the use of cannabis as an analgesic, a restorer of energy, a hemostat, an agabolic to induce contractions, and an antidiuretic. it's also mentioned as an aid in treating hay fever, cholera, dysentery, all of these different things, right?
Swelling of the
Other
testicles.
beneficial effects attributed to cannabis. Yeah. Prevention of insomnia, relief of anxiety, prevention against cholera, alleviation of hunger, and is an aid to concentration of attention.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. It was just
Now,
amazing that they had written all of this up in a way that was so concise that covers that umbrella, wherever it is. You know, we look at the umbrella, the whole endocannabinoid system, how everything is interacting with each other via the endocannabinoid system, going on and off, on and off. And so it shows that in this report from 1972.
Every report they put out shows that. So here we are, you know, in the 70s, you know, so, you know, Richard Nixon really was, you know, just a horrible human being by all accounts, right? He was just a manipulative, evil politician who was, you know, I think the first president actually resigned during his term, right? And
I was little.
because he was caught red-handed. Goodbye. So rather than be prosecuted, he said, I'm going home, folks. Done enough damage. Anyway, we're still living with his war on drugs. And so he commissioned the former governor of Pennsylvania, I believe, Schaefer. And he said to Schaefer, hey, listen, I want you to do a report on marijuana. Only, you know, listen, we're never going to allow marijuana because I don't like black people and hippies. Seriously, he told him this. I don't care what you do, but just want you to do a report. Now, Schaefer did a good job. Like he really did an honest to God, good, really strong report.
Research.
And when the Schaefer report was published, they said marijuana should be deschedulized and it should be decriminalized, and it's not an awful drug. And Nixon's, you know, read the report, closed it up, and said, yeah, no. And that was it. That was the end of the report. So welcome to government. Now, it's just the way it is. We can get angry about it. We can get incensed about it. And you know, trust me, millions of people have suffered because of this war on drugs and because of the political machine. But we're here to look at history.
And Mark, you're so good at it.
Understand it, maybe get a little fired up, but then we need to really understand that, you know, we can be combative and in people's faces to try to get things changed.
No,
usually not going to happen. It's usually not going to happen. I mean, I'll give you a good example. How did women at the turn of in the beginning of the 1900s, how did women get the right to vote?
They petitioned for
it.
They
did rallies, and they, you know, and they really were out there with the signs, and there were women who were just, you know, courageous enough to step out and say, we demand this. But did that really do it?
What did it, Mark?
That's the question. You know what did it? They convinced the white men in power that it was a good idea.
There you go.
Behind the scenes.
There it is. So there it is let the men think they're making the decisions.
The people in power have to agree in order for it to change. So we still have old white men in power. And you see what, you know, our current president did in dismissing some of his cabinet members because they used cannabis in the past. Oh, Joe, so disappointing. I had such high hopes for you, but you're just an old white man that needs to go. So,
so here's the thing.
Come on, Kamala. So listen, you know,
so history too.
That's just the way it is. Until we are able to convince the people who we have given power to, until we're able to convince them with good, solid evidence in repeatedly moving that forward, it's just not going to change. So
that's why we do what we do.
With love and compassion, Cher. Yeah.
Right. That is why we do what we do every day. So we are educating and empowering and bringing humor and love and spirituality, the mental, emotional, spiritual components of this cannabis plant, as well as the physical science. And we're doing these shows every morning because we want to change history.
And that's why you're here, everybody. All of you who show up, I know you feel the same way. Like you believe the science that's out there and has been out there for 50 plus years or 10,000 years, the evidence that's out there, you believe that, you know it to be true, but you also know that the spiritual side needs to come in too. that we're
And cannabis,
taking science and we're taking metaphysics and we're just bringing it all together.
And cannabis allows, us to open up doors in our consciousness to experience different ways of being, different ways of thinking, and different ways of perceiving and processing information and emotion.
Yes.
So it's amazing. And so, and the thing too about history, I keep going back, I keep thinking back. I said, if people had known about the endocannabinoid system, if the medical professionals had known and kept up with it, so many people would not have suffered.
Right.
So that is why, I look back and I'm like, this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is why we're stepping outside the box and we're having a voice. We want to give you all a voice. So if you have your stories to share, we want to hear them.
Yeah.
We want to,
Yeah. All right, share. This is an AFA day. If there's ever been one, today is it, because it's April Fool's Day. You get to play a joke on the people around you, your loved ones especially. Okay, so let's get busy. Let's have an AFA day. Let's really think of some really fun ways to play a joke on somebody. Not to hurt them, but really, you want to
get a laugh. We want more anandamine. We want more of that bliss-like molecule in our lives. So
does that, baby? Laughter does that, doesn't it?
It does. Yes.
Yeah. So this is it. Happy April Fool's Day, everybody. Love you all. Thanks for coming by again. And Sherry, what's it all about?
Oh, goodness, Mark. It's about living your best life and helping others do the same.
Yes. All right, everybody. We'll see you